I'm making some drawers. They've got a 1/2 inch side and a 1/4 inch bottom. It's the 1/2 inch melamine, and the bottom also is melamine 1/4 inch. So it's a particle board side, and I'm using this locking rabbet joint. What made this setup a little bit different is on the table saw, I used the dado blade and set it up so that I don't have to make any changes in any of the cuts for the drawer sides or bottom. Here's what made it work without changing any of the settings. When you run the front and back through the first time, it leaves a little too much that's too wide to go in the groove. But when you run it through a second time with a paper shim that you've figured out how thick that shim needs to be, then what's left is the right size to go in there. Start out by setting the width of the dado cut to the width of the bottom material you're using. Then set the fence. So from the fence to the outside of the dado is the width of your drawer sides. I set the depth of the cut to 1/4 of an inch. Now cut the grooves in the drawer sides. The sizing of the shim has to be to where after it's cut, this is the proper fit in this joint here. You can see here he's just a little too thick to go in there. He just needs a little bit more taken off. That's why just a thin cardboard shim or whatever you're going to need depending on the actual thickness of your sides. Like so. You're using the same depth setting, making this cut and this cut. So when they go together, that's the right height. After finishing the side rabbet joints, then you can just run each piece through again to make that dado for the bottom. That's how it'll turn out. My drawers, the longer side will be the front, and it'll have a face put on it, so that'll be covering up this. I made all 4 sides with a groove to accept the bottom, so as you assemble it, you have to put the bottom in. If you want to slide the bottom in after you assemble the sides, you would have to rip this to that dimension there, and also make the bottom a little bit longer so it extends out to the back. And you might want to give yourself a little more room tolerance here to help it slide a little easier. So if I may offer a little bit of advice, I think my best advice for a project would be just be patient. And my rule of thumb for design elements or how to do each step is if it's more labor intensive, you're probably going to like the finished product better. And also a little piece of advice, if you're on a nature walk with your grandkids and you want to protect your nose, and part of the fun is tipping over dead trees, try to be aware of all the different forces at work there.